Hey guys, welcome back to another Tarot Tuesday. It's been a little bit of a break, so this is for the week rather of Tuesday, August 27th, and we've got a couple of big moves going on, including one in the very early degrees of Virgo, represented by the Hermit, of the Moon, with just the High Priestess, conjunct Mercury, the Magician, and so both Virgo and the Moon, as represented by the Hermit, the High Priestess, have to do with the self, isolation, the turn inwards. For the Moon, it's a little bit more spiritual than it is for, rather for the High Priestess, it's a little bit more spiritual or emotional or in nature than it is for the Hermit, which is more like a physical and intellectual isolation. But you have both of those together with Mercury. Mercury, who is the magician, the bringer of changes, the instantiation of new projects, new things, knowing where to go and what to do, and having all the tools at your disposal to do it. And although normally I would be inclined with those cards to tell you that this would be a week to do some serious soul searching, it's not. Or at least it's not the vibe I'm picking up. What I'm picking up from this energy is that it's time to open the self. It's time to not so much bring forth the fruits of solitary labor as it is to just expose them to sunlight, into the light of day, into other people. It's about letting it out, not bringing it out. You're not going to take it and shove it into people's faces. You're going to rather just kind of open it up and allow opportunity to come to you. You are prepared for whatever comes your way, but I definitely get the feeling from this that it's going to be a thing of letting things come your way. There's not a whole lot of that very typical of Mercury airy, or in some cases almost fiery energy of go to the thing and do the thing. It's just more about letting things come to you. You've given yourself the opportunity to build these tools up inside the self. And what you're being given now is the opportunity to let stuff come to you that lets you test them in a way. There's a control, like in a control versus experimental feel to this almost. This is much more that control group, much more of a, limit the number of variables you have to account for kind of thing. You're not here to, like I said, this isn't something where you go out and find the things that, justify the work you did. It's allowing what comes to you to do that. The justification for doing the work is having done the work. It's just that you're also being afforded opportunities, especially with a bunch of other things that are going on right now, which I'll get to once the draw is done, that speak to sort of this kind of opening of personal doorway, sort of. So let's talk about this. Mercury conjunct the moon in Virgo. What does that mean for everybody? Oh, hey, actually, Virgo, you're going to go first because I missed last week's when we would have been talking about the change of sun sign, because the sun is in Virgo now too. Which, is that the new moon? Or is that... Right, that's this weekend. I am having It is Monday, and I'm, well, so much for the illusion of movie magic. But it is Monday, and I am already having the week from hell. So, Mercury conjunct the moon in Virgo. A lot of stuff going on in Virgo. Venus is there, or will be soon. Mars is there, or will be soon. Lots of very, very earthy energy, not least because of all the solar storms and stuff. Like I said, we'll get to those once the draw is finished. But for now, we'll start with Virgo. You can't see it, but I'm pointing to Virgo on my shirt. So, Virgo first. For Virgo, we have the Seven of Wands. I like this. Just a really high up, bright spot. Triumph over opposing forces. You know, a light in the darkness. A sort of high ground from which to operate. A lot of this energy is going to do some great things for you if you have a Virgo sun sign. Particularly now, it's going to slowly start to taper off as things move, as Mars and Venus and all the rest of the planets get deeper into your sign, Virgo. But right now, you're at a really high frequency compared to the rest of us. A lot of energy is, whether it's pushing you someplace good or bad, is sort of irrelevant to the fact that right now the wind is in your sails. If you can direct that energy, it will definitely be to your great benefit, because there's a lot of it. But even if the only victory you can manage to come out with is that it doesn't, you aren't consumed in the sort of the conflagration of self that you're in right now, that's victory enough. But either way, you have the high ground for a little while. It's just a matter of, putting it to use. It means nothing to hold an advantage if you don't use it or aren't capable of using it. So make sure that you do that this week, Virgo. Like I say, even if all you manage to do with it is not get caught in your own crossfire. For Libra, we have the Ten of Pentacles. Lots more very good fortune this week. You, Libra, can expect to see... I don't know, for you, I get the feeling like this is money, or has to do with maybe like the workplace somehow. A windfall of some sort, a raise or a new job. Like, again, these are things you've got to sort of allow to come to you. These are opportunities that are open to you. It's not necessarily something you can go out and grab or go out and do. Even Virgo, going back to that Seven of Wands, it's opening yourself to the opportunity that is presented for you. And for you, Libra, the opportunity for great, great physical abundance is being made this week. But again, it's less about earning it or working for it and more about it being presented to you, which means that there may be lots of options that you're going to have to weigh in order to pick the one that fits the best. For Scorpio, we have the Five of Wands. Now, in the in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, the one that most people are familiar with, this is the kids fighting with sticks, and it's that sort of card. It's just petty. Senseless is the wrong word, but it's sort of in that vein. It's conflict that doesn't serve a purpose, um, or doesn't serve much of a purpose. Now, that's not to say that you are necessarily going to be embroiled in it, Scorpio. This, again, if what you're being afforded is openings and opportunities, what you're being afforded is the opportunity to see where maybe a struggle that you've been involved in has been petty and fruitless, and maybe you have the opportunity to get out of it, or else just to sort of, sit on the sidelines, to watch something devolve into the conflict. This is you very well in the latter case, Scorpio, may get the chance to say "I told you so" this week. Again, whether you take it is up to you because it's an opportunity you're being afforded. But yeah, just there's a lot of some particular situation in your world has just been a lot of nonsense, and that's going to be very apparent to you this week. Whether you choose to continue engaging in the nonsense is obviously up to you. For Sagittarius, we have the Mother of Wands, the Queen, the snake in her clutch of eggs. Sagittarius, and no surprise, fire card for the fire sign. The opportunity for you this week, Sagittarius, I feel like is one to do with your boundaries, to do with the borders that you've put up or have been trying to put up between you and certain people or certain situations. Yeah, and this is a really mixed bag here because for some of you, Sagittarius, this is just going to be an opportunity to see how those borders have borne fruit. How putting those barriers up and keeping your space and your energy as sacred as it's supposed to be has been good for you. For other Sagittarians, though, I definitely get the feeling that you're going to have to be the coiled snake waiting to strike. Some of you are going to be presented with the opportunity to defend those boundaries and test whether you're even willing to, which in itself is not can be, but is a challenge. Keeping your space the way you want it, keeping your energy the way you want it, keeping unwanted influences and energies out. This is going to be the week, Sagittarius, for some of you to show your fangs and maybe have to use your venom. So this could either be a very peaceful week or a very not peaceful week for you. For Capricorn, we have the Four of Cups. With the Four of Cups, Capricorn, you're what you're being afforded here. The energy that I'm picking up on, sort of difficult to verbalize, but you're being afforded the opportunity to see what's sweet about bitterness. I'm not really sure what that means. I get the feeling that it's sort of in the vein of that expression about how every dark cloud has a silver lining. you're being afforded the opportunity to take the time to really look at something distasteful and see the good in it. Um, Something that you've been unhappy with and finding ways to be happy with it. It's again, it's just it's an adaptation thing. It's again, what you're being presented with is the good in the bad. It's the hope at the bottom of Pandora's box. I mean, it's probably not actually that drastic, but it's in that vein. It's in that mode. It's the sort of um, are there is what's bad really so bad that it's totally unsalvageable? Is what's does it really, 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 whatever the thing might be, actually bother you all the way down, top to bottom, and all the way through? Um, Taking the opportunity to sit with it and figure that out is your gift, so to speak, for this week. For Aquarius, we have the Two of Cups. Lots of chances, Aquarius, for joyful union in whatever sense that's relevant to you. No bitter dregs in this cup. Or well, not very many. Even roses have thorns. But um, for you, Aquarius, it's yeah, that's just you're being afforded opportunities to come together with like-minded people and find joy in that. Not in groups necessarily. This is in one-on-one things. This is in getting together with a good friend for a cup of coffee, or um, you know, letters from long lost relatives. Well, maybe not long lost, but you get the idea. Like it's establishing connections that bring you joy. And again, they're individual interpersonal connections. It's not a big group thing. Like it's not, it's the bride and groom more than the wedding party, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic thing. But again, weigh your options. This stuff is being presented to you, so make the best choice. Everybody, make the best choice. For Pisces, we have the Seven of Cups. Speaking of choices, Virgo's opposite number in the zodiac is plagued with choices, or at least with options. In a really weird way, I get the feeling from the Seven of Cups for you, Pisces, that like you have the choices you're being presented with, the options being presented to you by this aspect are the options of options, sort of the choice of whether or not to make choices. I do also get the sense of this that at least for you, there are some very clear right and wrong answers. What you should do and what you should not do with this aspect, Pisces, seems clearer than most, which is for me is really strange to say that about the Seven of Cups. Usually I think of it as not just choices but illusions or deceptions. Well, deceptions is kind of strong, but ways to misperceive reality. Not so this week. This seems more like perceiving reality, actually grasping what is happening to you in the ways that it's happening to you. The clarity of your choices is the big thing this week. Hello, little shadow. Come here. Come here. Say hi to all the nice people. Hello. That's Amir. She's my cuddle buddy. So, back to the matter at hand. For Aries, we have the Daughter of Cups. Are you happy, Aries? Because you're afforded the opportunity to really answer that question for yourself this week. Just, when what's laid at your table or on your plate is there, are you satisfied with it? It's time to answer that question. Are you happy? Are you really happy with what you've got in front of you? To borrow from Marie Kondo, does this spark joy? No, that's not to say throw things away, but you definitely, what you're definitely getting the opportunity to do here is just think about it. Does it make you happy? Could it make you happier? And in sort of that same vein, do you know as much about that as you think you do? For Taurus, we have the Eight of Swords, the chrysalis, the butterfly in its cocoon. Or, well, getting ready to come out of its cocoon might be a better way of putting that. Taurus, you this week... There are numerous places in your world, Taurus. The feeling I get from this card is that there's lots of places in your world where you're going to be given the opportunity to spread new wings and fly. And it will be up to you not only to make the best choice of which of those opportunities to take, but to even see them in the first place. Where Pisces has clarity, this is about as opaque as I lost my metaphor because I used the wrong word. Where Pisces has clarity, let me start over. This is about as clear as mud for you, Taurus. It's more than the rest of us. You're going to have to sit and think about what's being given to you and whether or not you really want to act on it. Actually, the Pisces comparison is a pretty valid one, because something else I'm getting from this is that, there's really only about one or two areas of your world where this is going to happen. And it's not a question of whether you're ready, but whether you're willing. Because in order to leave the cocoon, you do have to risk those swords. You do have to risk the sharp pointies. It's not a question of whether you're ready. You're ready. The question is whether you're willing. For Gemini, we have the moon. And Maybe nobody, Gemini, is more mercurial than you are. And that's not just a horrible pun because Mercury rules your sign. But you know, the moon is it changes. It has phases. So do you. So do all of us. But for you, those changes and their utility for you are going to be particularly apparent this week. For some of you, this is a transition. Some of you are going through a change, Geminis. But it's some of you are initiating change and some of you are completing a metamorphosis. But this is all about with the moon. This is all about going through, you know, phases of life, and some of you are starting a new thing. Some of you are finishing up adjusting to a new thing. Some of you are revisiting old things. But either in all these senses, change comes to you, which is what's different about this, is that rather than being the initiator of change, rather than embracing your mercurial nature, change is coming to you. And this might be an uncomfortable position. It's not one that you normally occupy. Revel in it a little bit. For Cancer, we have the Six of Cups. Fitting, really. This is probably one of the more Cancerian cards in the water suit, just because it speaks of roots. And you, Cancer, are big on roots because roots are anchoring, roots are grounding, roots give you. I hear a kitty, but I don't see a kitty. There you are, baby. Roots are anchoring and grounding, and they give you a safe place from which to begin growing. I would expect for you, Cancer, that a lot of going forward for this week is going to have something of going backward in it. This is, after all, the nostalgia card as much as anything else that it is. But lots of just coming to get closure. Things showing flower that you planted a while ago, or you know, something perennial springing back to life after a long winter. I could go on and on with the plant metaphors, but I think you get the idea. Just a lot of the word again, just kind of echoing through everything you do this week, is something you can expect to feel, Cancer. It's going to be an interesting one. And finally, Leo, the Four of Swords. And I love this card for you, Leo, and in a season, in a week in which a whole bunch of stuff has just walked its way out of your sign. The sun is gone. The moon is gone. Mercury, Venus, and Mars are either gone or leaving. Rest, reprieve, a break, a breath. Sorely needed after what was, probably especially for you, a very wild Leo season. But rest, reprieve, a break, a breath, and it's being given to you. You don't have to go get it. It's being handed to you. It's being laid at your feet. that sort of makes that lamb and that card feel sacrificial, but nonetheless, a breath for Leo. So before I go, I did want to talk about the thing that I alluded to earlier, which is that there's a lot of other stuff going on either side of the new moon. So I'm going to pull my calendar so that I can give you the precise date, because I like to do that. Friday is the new moon in Virgo. And so a lot of big things going on this week. It's just going to run, it's, the moon in Virgo hitting all the other things on its way to being the new moon, just lighting up Venus, lighting up Mercury, lighting up the sun, lighting up Mars when it catches up. This is the kicker of something even bigger, and to go along with it, we have solar storms on either side of the new moon. So in this instance of new beginnings, especially with the magician hanging out, lots and lots of energy, lots of rising vibration and rising consciousness, lots of really powerful energy is at play here. So these things that come to you, regardless of your sign and what they are, they're going to come fast. They're going to come. Some of them will come like hammer blows, just one after the other, over and over, very, very quickly. And it's really important you be kind to yourself through this process. If you need alone time, take it. I strongly encourage you to drink tons of water. Just keep yourself hydrated and grounded and focused. Force yourself to go to bed early. But be kind to yourself this week. Take the opportunity to be the gentle caretaker of yourself that you need to be from time to time. This is going to be sort of like the capstone of Leo season. If Leo was a fuse, this is the fireworks going off. This is the grand finale. One big surge, and then it all kind of starts to settle from here, hopefully. But just be gentle to yourself and be gentle to one another. This is going to be a wild week for everybody. On that note, this has been Tarot Tuesday. I hope that you enjoyed it. As always, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Sign up for the newsletter. Back me on Patreon so I can spend more of my time doing this. And as always, I will see you next week.